Hello, chosen one? Yes, you. The one who felt something pull you to this message. The one who almost scrolled past but didn't. The one who felt that quiet tug in your chest, that strange feeling that this might somehow be meant for you. Take a breath for a moment, because something unusual is happening. Somewhere, in a place that feels very close to your reality, closer than you might think, there is a knock. A quiet one at first, soft, almost polite. The kind of knock that makes you pause and wonder if you imagined it. And the strange part is this: you have been expecting it, even if you didn't realize it. Think back over the last few days, maybe the last few weeks, maybe even longer. Have you noticed the signs? Little coincidences that felt too perfect. Moments where time seemed to pause. Words you heard more than once, as if the world was repeating something just for you. Because when you are a chosen one, the universe rarely shouts at first. It knocks, softly, patiently, waiting to see if you will notice. And that knock, the one we're talking about right now, is not random. You might be sitting somewhere ordinary, maybe in your room, maybe at night when the world is quiet. Maybe you're watching this while everyone else around you is busy with their lives. But something about this moment feels different, doesn't it? That's because the knock isn't just happening somewhere outside. It's happening inside your awareness. And here is the truth many people don't realize. When a message is meant for the chosen one, it always arrives in a way that feels impossible to ignore. Not loud, not dramatic, just persistent. Knock, pause, knock. If you've ever had that strange feeling that something is about to change in your life, something big, something important, then you already know what I'm talking about. Because the knock is not just a sound, it's a signal that a door in your life is about to open. And here's where things become interesting. Most people will never hear this knock. Not because it doesn't happen, but because they are too distracted to notice, too busy, too skeptical, too quick to dismiss the quiet moments where life whispers instead of screams. But you're here, and that alone tells a story. It tells us that something about your path is different. Maybe you've always felt it. Maybe you've always felt like you were slightly out of step with the crowd, like you were seeing patterns others ignored, feeling things others brushed off. Chosen ones often carry that feeling for years without understanding it, until the knock comes. And when it comes, it changes everything. Now listen carefully, because what happens next is where many people make a mistake. When the knock appears in your life, whether as a moment, a message, or a sudden realization, your first instinct might be doubt. You might think, is this really meant for me? Am I imagining this? Maybe it's nothing. But the chosen ones who step into their next chapter, they do something different. They pause. They listen. They allow themselves to be curious about what the knock might mean. Because behind every important change in life, there is a moment that looks small on the outside. A conversation, a decision, a message, or a knock. And right now, something about this message feels like that moment, doesn't it? You're still here, still listening, still wondering. That's not an accident. The knock you hear, metaphorically or spiritually, is not about a physical door. It's about a threshold, a moment where the old version of your life begins to close, and the new one starts to appear. And yes, that can feel unsettling, because opening a new door means stepping into the unknown. But here's the part many people don't realize. The knock isn't just a warning. It's an invitation to pay attention, an invitation to realize that something in your life is aligning in ways you may not fully see yet. And the message that's coming to your door, is not arriving by chance. In fact, if you're hearing this right now, there's a strong possibility that the message has already started to reach you. Maybe through a thought that keeps returning. Maybe through a person who suddenly reappeared in your life. Maybe through a feeling you can't explain but can't ignore either. Knock. Pause. Knock. The pattern continues. And the question isn't whether the knock is real. The question is whether you're ready to open the door when the message finally arrives. Because in the next chapter, we're going to talk about something that might surprise you. Who or what is actually behind that door? And why the message they carry could change the direction of your life in ways you never expected. But before we go there, remember this: chosen one. The knock didn't happen randomly. It happened because you were meant to hear it. And if you've made it this far into the message, there's a reason for that too. The door is closer than you think, and something or someone is already standing on the other side, waiting. Chosen one, welcome back. If you're still here, still listening, still feeling that quiet curiosity pulling you deeper into this message, then something important is already happening, because most people would have left by now. Most people hear the first knock and ignore it. But you didn't. You stayed. And that matters more than you think. Now let's return to the moment we left off. The knock. That quiet, persistent signal that something is waiting on the other side of the door. Knock. Pause. Knock again. You feel it, don't you? Not with your ears, but somewhere deeper. That subtle tension in your mind, that question forming in the back of your thoughts. Who is there? Because when we imagine a knock, our first instinct is simple. We picture a person. Someone standing outside, someone holding a message meant for us. But what if the truth is stranger than that? What if the knock is not coming from a stranger at all? What if the one standing behind that door already knows you? Think about that for a moment. Chosen ones often reach a point in life where everything starts to shift in subtle ways. Patterns appear. Unexpected opportunities show up. Certain people enter their lives at exactly the right moment. It feels almost orchestrated. And when that happens, there is usually a messenger. Not always a person in the literal sense. Imti. Sometimes it arrives as an idea. Sometimes as a sudden realization. Sometimes as a conversation that seems ordinary at first, until you later realize it changed everything. But the key detail is this. The messenger always arrives when the chosen one is ready to hear the message. And readiness is a strange thing. It doesn't come with an announcement. It builds slowly, through challenges, through confusion, through those quiet nights where you wondered if something bigger was meant for your life. Many chosen ones spend years asking the same silent question. Is this really all there is for me? And the universe listens. It waits. Until the moment arrives when you are ready for the answer. And that moment often begins with a knock. Knock. Pause. Knock. Now imagine the door again. Picture it clearly. Maybe it's the door to your home. Maybe it's a symbolic door, the entrance to a new chapter in your life. Either way, someone or something is standing there. And they are patient. They are not forcing the door open. They are not shouting for attention. They are simply waiting. Because chosen ones must open the door by choice. That's the rule. The message cannot be forced upon you. You have to decide to listen. And this is where things become even more interesting, because many people hear a knock and assume the message is about opportunity, success, or some external reward. But the truth is often deeper than that. The message behind the door is usually about awakening, a realization about who you are, a realization about where your life is heading, a realization that certain paths you once followed no longer belong to you. And sometimes that realization can feel uncomfortable, because when the messenger arrives, it often brings clarity, and clarity changes everything. Suddenly you start noticing things you ignored before, patterns in relationships, patterns in your decisions, patterns in the way certain doors kept closing while others quietly waited to open, and you begin to understand something powerful. The knock was never just about the door. It was about you recognizing the moment. Now here's the part many people miss. The messenger behind the door rarely stays forever. There is a window of time, a brief moment where the opportunity to receive the message is strongest. Ignore the knock long enough, and eventually the hallway becomes silent again. No second knock, no third chance, just silence. That's why moments like this feel so intense, because somewhere deep inside, you sense that this might be one of those rare crossroads in life, a moment where paying attention could change the direction of everything that follows. And right now, something about this message feels like that moment. You're still here, still listening, still wondering what the message could be. That curiosity is not accidental. It's the same curiosity that causes chosen ones to pause at the exact moment when the universe is trying to show them something. And there is one more thing you should know. Sometimes the messenger behind the door is not bringing something new into your life. Sometimes they are returning something that was always meant for you. A purpose, a path, a part of yourself you once doubted. And when that realization arrives, it can feel both exciting and terrifying at the same time, because opening the door means accepting that your life may never look the same again. But ignoring the knock, that has consequences too. And in the next chapter, we're going to talk about the most important question of all. What actually happens the moment you decide to open the door? Because the truth behind that moment is something very few people are prepared for. And yet, chosen one, something tells me you might be. The knock has already happened. The messenger is still waiting. The only question left now is whether you're ready to turn the handle. Chosen one, you're still here. That alone says a lot, because by now, many people would have turned away. Many would have dismissed the knock as imagination. Many would have told themselves it was easier not to open the door, but you stayed, you listened. And that means you've arrived at the moment most people never reach. The moment of decision. The moment where the hand moves toward the door handle. Pause for a second and imagine it clearly. You're standing in front of the door. The hallway is quiet. The knock has stopped. Knock. Silence. And strangely, that silence feels even louder than the knock itself, because now the message is no longer trying to get your attention. Now it's waiting for your response. Chosen one, this is the part of the story that changes everything, because when you finally open the door, you discover something unexpected. There isn't a stranger standing there. Not really. Instead, what you find is a realization, a moment of clarity, a feeling so strong that it's impossible to ignore. The messenger was never just outside the door. The messenger was guiding you toward yourself. Think about it. Every major shift in life begins with a moment exactly like this. A moment where something inside you says, "This is the turning point." Maybe it's the realization that you've outgrown certain environments. Maybe it's the understanding that your path is different from the people around you. Maybe it's the sudden awareness that you've been preparing for something bigger without even realizing it. Chosen ones often feel this moment before it happens. A sense of pressure building. A quiet voice asking deeper questions. Why am I here? What am I meant to do? Why does it feel like something important is about to happen? Those questions are not random. They are the echo of the knock. Knock. Pause. Knock. And when the door finally opens, the message becomes clear. The knock was not warning you about the future. It was waking you up to it. You see, most people go through life reacting to events. But chosen ones eventually reach a moment where they realize something powerful. They are not just reacting to life. They are stepping into the role they were meant to play. And that realization can be overwhelming. Because once the door opens, you can't pretend the knock never happened. You can't go back to ignoring the signs. You start noticing things differently. The opportunities that appear, the people who suddenly cross your path, the ideas that refuse to leave your mind. It begins to feel like pieces of a puzzle slowly locking into place. And the more attention you give to those moments, the clearer the message becomes. Chosen one, the knock happened because something in your life is shifting. Maybe a door you thought was closed is about to reopen. Maybe a path you once ignored is calling your attention again. Maybe the next chapter of your life is closer than you think. But here is the truth few people talk about. Opening the door doesn't instantly solve everything. Instead, it does something far more powerful. It changes your awareness. Once you recognize the knock, you begin to notice every signal that follows. And suddenly, what once looked like coincidence begins to feel like direction. You start trusting your instincts more. You start questioning the paths that no longer feel right. You begin to sense that your story is moving somewhere meaningful. And that feeling, that quiet certainty, is the real message behind the door. The messenger didn't arrive to give you something you lacked. The messenger arrived to remind you of something you already carried inside you. Purpose, awareness, potential. Those things were always there. The knock simply brought them to the surface. Now here's the question that matters most. What happens after the door opens? Because this is where chosen ones separate themselves from everyone else. Some people hear the knock, open the door for a moment, and then slowly close it again. They return to their routines. They convince themselves nothing really happened. And eventually, the memory fades. But others do something different. They step forward. They walk through the doorway. They accept that the moment was real and that their life may be moving towards something bigger. And if you've made it all the way to this moment in the message, there's a good chance you are one of those people. Because something kept you here. Something made you curious enough to listen to the entire story. And curiosity is often the first sign that the door has already started opening. So remember this, chosen one. The knock wasn't random. The message wasn't accidental. And the moment you are living right now might be one of those rare crossroads where awareness begins to change everything. The door is open, the hallway behind you is quiet, and the path in front of you is waiting.